An island named DioField. Long known as the home of the gods, the island has basked in nothing but peace for centuries. Alas, an inescapable wave of chaos and change appears to be approaching. While sojourning in Leicestershire at the Leicester residence, the fourth-born prince, Levantia Shaken, comes under attack. Amidst the chaos, Andreas and Frederick hurry to his aid, and under their courageous protection, he escapes the manor. However, they are ambushed, and Levantia is felled by an assassin's hand. With his last breath, he entrusts the future to his friends. Levantia's now limp hand bears the mark of the blessed, proof of his rightful claim to kingship. Andreas and his fellow Central Field mercenaries come to the rescue of a government official, Lorraine Luckshaw, and are invited to join Duke Hende's private militia as a result of the prowess they display. This unit is headed by Commander Yolzum Jordan, a former knight from a mid-ranking noble family. And the mercenary trio's first task is to go and meet their new commander at the unit's base.
Here we are.
Whoa! Look at this! It's amazing! Wow!
The Duke is said to be a connoisseur of foreign culture. This he would have had specially imported, I'm sure.
Well, well, well. Not just a ragtag band of sellswords after all. I'm intrigued.
Greetings, everyone. I'm the General Administrator for the unit, Lorraine Luckshaw, and this is our commander.
Yulzim Jordan. I'm in charge of this unit. I assume you're the new recruits.
Yes. I am Frederick Lester.
Andreas Ronderson.
Isola Wigan, at your command.
Wigan? Well, he was a brilliant fighter. Never struck me as the fatherly type. I'm sure you will endeavor not to sully our unit's name.
I will.
Now, like other mercenaries, we take requests from the citizenry, but with one important caveat. Since this unit is financed by Duke Hende, his orders always take precedence. No exceptions. Don't disappoint him.
The era of myths gives way to an era of great turmoil. War looms dark over the Rotail mainland, and amid the unrest, the common bandit Trovelt Shovia sees his opportunity and establishes an empire. Commanding a disciplined army and versed in modern magic, the Empire is a power to be reckoned with. It promptly establishes control over the western part of the continent. Rotail's other nations respond by forming an alliance to combat the threat of the Empire. Despite their combined strength, they were largely powerless to resist the Empire's advance. The continent was ravaged by the devastating war between the Empire and the Alliance. However, one nation remained unaffected by the chaos. The Kingdom of Alatane, on DioField Island, situated off the northwestern coast of Rotail. On the mainland, the war reached a stalemate when the powerful Vermin Republic joined forces with the Alliance. The two sides were now evenly matched. However, localized fighting continued to intensify in a bid to secure Jade, a resource for modern magic. With Jade believed to be abundant on DioField, the attention of both the Empire and the Alliance inevitably turned towards the island. The Kingdom of Alatane, ward of the Augurs, looked destined to have its soil stained with the blood of battle.
Our next mission has come directly from Duke Hende. It will be carried out along with other mercenary units. The target is a large-scale bandit camp in the Ragia Highlands, on the border between Centralfield and Westfield. Droves of mercenaries from across the region have been mobilized for this particular task. We will combine to make a large strike force and attack in concert.
So, any questions?
Commander, numbers are hardly a boon when the way to the bandit camp leads through a narrow gorge.
Indeed. Rather than engage the enemy head-on, we could target their leaders in a stealth attack.
Yes. If we take a small unit and set off tonight, we will have a good chance of catching them off guard. Then there should be only a handful of surviving bandits left. The main force can mop them up when they arrive at the break of day tomorrow.
You suggest merely pretending to work jointly with the others to steal a march on the enemy?
Yes. I propose that Frederick, Isolair, and myself form a separate task force for this purpose. I also suggest that you join the main group, Commander Yulzim. To draw attention away from our movement, you better keep up the pretense.
Very well. If it is a diversion that's required, I would certainly help to make it convincing.
I feel we would also benefit from having a talented sniper join our ranks.
The Knight-Errant Iscarian would certainly fit the bill, Commander. He is one of the mercenaries participating in the raid.
A self-proclaimed knight, no? Very well. I will visit him at the encampment after you set off and ask him to join you.
Thank you, Commander. Now, we had better set off for the Ragia Highlands.
I don't really understand why the bandits have started attacking the cliff folk, to be honest.
Perhaps they're after some rare treasures. Or maybe there's been a territorial dispute between those that dwell in the Highlands.
I suppose we'll have to ask them about that, won't we? Though, I imagine they'll be tight-lipped.
Huh?
All right, Then we'd best get ourselves to the base of the mountain. More troops should be joining the main force before long.
Yes. The plan is for them to set off for the bandit camp at first light.
Good. Then we should make haste. Who's there?
Well, well, what do we have here? You don't look like bandits. Mercenaries, perhaps?
And I might ask, who are you?
I am Iscarian Colchester.
He's here already? Wow! Amazing! Commander Jordan works ever so quickly.
No, he doesn't work this quickly. A legion of mercenaries all attacking at once would lead to utter carnage, and would result in casualties among the people we're trying to help. Also, unlike a regular army, mercenaries are not used to cooperating, meaning they are looking out for themselves and only themselves. A full-on assault is bound to fail. Therefore, I decided it more efficient to eliminate their leaders ahead of time.
You are going to do that alone?
I prefer my own company when picking out unsuspecting targets.
Would you not think it'd be better if we worked together?
I suppose it might. You do seem different to the money-grubbing mercenaries I've met before. You've piqued my interest. Let us join forces, if only for the moment.
I'll take that as a compliment. Now, we'd better be on our way.
Excellent work. The bandits soon fell apart without their leaders.
Yes. Thank you, Commander. By the way, I take it that you heard that someone, in fact, incited the bandits to attack the cliff folk.
Yes. And there are knights looking into the matter.
As it happens, Commander, a knight's requested your audience.
Fine, I will see them now. You are free to go. Enjoy some well-deserved rest.
Well, I suppose we should turn in for the night. Iska?
Frederick, long day, wasn't it?
It was indeed. Not as long as it would have been without your help. There's a place for an archer of your caliber in our unit. Won't you consider joining us?
Thank you. I know I told you before that I preferred to work alone, that I valued my independence. But I admit, last night, my limitations were laid bare. I realized the importance of having allies, not for my own sake, but so I might help more people than I could ever help alone. Iska, let me make something clear to you. We are not the highest authority in this unit. That would be the commander. Oh, I know you answer to Yulzim Jordan. Doing a good job of it too, it seems.
Yes, well, we do our best. So, Iska, what say you? Will you join us?
I will. Yes.
Then welcome to the unit.
Thank you. It's an honor.
After proving his worth in the fight against Gofrin, Iscarian Colchester is asked to join the unit. He had previously fought as a self-styled knight-errant, having cut ties with his noble family. Traditionally, the Knights of Alatain rule their own domains and collect taxes from their subjects, from which they pay a portion to the royal government. It is a system widely abused by the aristocracy, who have grown fat off the proceeds. Many of these nobles took up residence in Southfield, the southern region of DioField. This area is also home to the only trading port on the island. A hub of culture and entertainment, prosperous on the surface, but below lies a dark underbelly where shady dealings are an everyday occurrence. It is a chaotic place, a melting pot of virtue and vice.
This mission comes at the behest of House Redditch, one of Alatane's oldest families. This prestigious family has had a strong association with Southfield for a long time, and currently finds itself in crisis. It seems the Daglance Traders Union, their former affiliates, has raised the flag of rebellion, and they're now embroiled in a bitter conflict.
How dare those traders bite the hand that feeds them?
Assisting nobles, are we? Not my cup of tea, but I suppose this kind of thing can't be allowed.
House Redditch has long maintained an intimate relationship with the royal government. They prop up the commerce of the entire region. Duke Hende is helping House Redditch in order to have them in his debt. Isn't that so?
That's the way of it, yes. Now, you must make for the Redditch estate without delay.
Lady Walter Quinn Redditch, who brought this request to our unit, is due to take you there herself. Lady Walter Quinn, if you would be so kind.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Walter Quinn Redditch. Forgive my intrusion. I had to flee Southfield at a moment's notice. I should be glad to escort you to the Redditch estate myself. I will do what I can to assist you in any way.
You have our thanks, but your assistance won't be needed.
Those traders and any of that Southfield rabble are ruffians. This will be a good opportunity to bring them to heel.
Very well. All is clear.
Then if you could prepare to depart at once, please.
What the? The dead have risen. No survivors, regrettably. Perhaps they suffered the same fate as the traders.
We must discover what caused the dead to rise like that.
What do you mean? They're just monsters, aren't they?
Fred, tell me what monster materializes like that. No, this is some yet unknown phenomenon, or a scheme of man. Lady Walter Quinn, any insights for us?
I do not.
And yet you do possess considerable power, milady. Is ancient sorcery passed down through your house?
No, there's no such sorcery in House Redditch, to my knowledge. I acquired my powers during my time in the church.
During your time in the church? Is that so? Walter Quinn, if you've nowhere else to go, would you perhaps join our unit?
Rias, what on earth are you proposing? She's nobility through and through.
I gratefully accept your offer, my dear Andreas Ronderson.
Rias.
Wow, I wasn't expecting this.
The unit's latest recruit is the adept magicker, Lady Walter Quinn, the sole surviving member of the prestigious House Redditch. Many thought her unsuitable for mercenary life, given her aristocratic background. But she quickly proves her value in battle, gaining the trust of Frederick and Andreas. House Redditch had many unofficial ties to the landowning nobility of Central Field, and these connections were said to have given them the ear of the Lord's Council. This 10-man organization is a powerful body made up of officials selected from powerful families. Its role is to serve the kingdom by advising the king. Each Lord Counselor also leads a faction made up of lower nobles who seek their protection. The unit returned from Southfield to find a request waiting for them from Biltar village.
Our mission is.
A tiresome task.
But Commander, remember it is vital that we accept requests from the public if we are to keep up appearances. Our status as mercenaries makes us better suited than any knightly order to accommodate Duke Hende's needs.
Oh, very well. Now, on to the details of this mission.
The request hails from the village of Biltar in North Central Field. They report that a number of their young women have been kidnapped. It seems they have been forced into Count Horace's brothel, and it is our task to get them out.
If the Count were revealed to be a kidnapper, it would be a real blow to Lord Kimball's faction.
Not to mention that stifling a rival councillor's revenue would be a great boon to Duke Hende, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure. But we cannot just march into a noble's territory on the word of some villager. The Count would simply feign complete ignorance, and then we would be the ones left with egg on our faces.
I have a plan. Walter Quinn, if you would.
I was able to secure a private audience with Lord Kimball, posing as a well-intentioned informant.
What?
After the initial pleasantries, we were soon discussing serious matters. I mentioned Count Horace's sordid occupation, and may have suggested that Duke Hende was sniffing around. This panicked our dear Lord Kimball to no end. He ordered that Count Horace be killed without delay.
He'd assassinate a nobleman from his own faction.
The noble Lord Kimball is no doubt attempting to tie up any loose ends before Duke Hende gets further involved.
Here is Count Horace's assassination order, signed by Lord Kimball himself. It is our reason for visiting Biltar. With this, no one would dare question us.
What?
Commander Jordan?
Do as you see fit.
Count Horace's domain, Biltar, is not far from here. It shouldn't take more than half a day on horseback.
We should set off at once. I fear for the safety of those women.
The Granvelle Church. Having split from the mainland's old communion a millennium ago, it exists only on DioField. Its core belief is the worship of Nathal as the one true God. It teaches that the people of DioField are God's children, that praying to him will sate the soul. Its archbishop, Joshua, is an aristocrat with a seat on the Lord's Council, a position which grants him great influence, as well as extensive lands in Northfield. His faction is supported by House Redditch and House Jordan, Commander Yalzum's family.
As you're aware, it is the time of year when the Granvelle Church holds its first pilgrimage and performs ecclesiastical rites, and we have been tasked with accompanying the pilgrims and providing any protection as and when necessary. The destination of the pilgrimage is north of Central Field, in Northfield's Thornbury region. And the route the church takes happens to pass through lands beset with bandits and monsters. Archbishop Joshua will be making the pilgrimage as well. It is vital that you keep a close eye on his well-being. A local girl named Rickenback will act as your guide to Thornbury. Find her as soon as you arrive.
One little detail plays on my mind. Why does the church need to hire mercenaries? Doesn't it have its own Templar Knights?
There are concerns within the church that the knights alone will not provide enough protection.
I suspect there is more to this.
Yeah, without a doubt. A man of the Archbishop's status would certainly not be lacking in protection. He may simply be testing Duke Hende's claims as to our unit's impartiality. His motives are irrelevant to us, however. We must but do our duty and do it well.
Understood. We shall depart at once. An irksome foe indeed.
Easily slain.
Grave news! The commander has been shot! What?
Commander Yolzum Jordan is killed in action during the mission in Northfield. It seemed likely that he had been shot by some bandit, or hit by a hunter's stray arrow. But speculation soon began to spread among the mercenaries. Had the commander incurred the church's wrath by helping a faction other than the Archbishop's? Frederick, Walter Quinn, Iscarion, and Andreas proposed that they take joint command of the unit. They were prepared to argue their case. But to their surprise, Duke Hende agrees at once to their suggestion without demur. The Blue Fox. A hunter as intelligent as they are cunning. It is this merciless cunning that spares not even their own kin. Under the name of this enchanted beast, the four allies form their group, each possessing an equal share of power in leadership of the unit. Off the eastern coast of DioField Island, a fleet of warships is sighted. They hail from the Trovelt-Shovian Empire, the all-conquering mainland military power. The Empire is yet to send an envoy to Alatane, and rumors abound that an invasion is imminent. The royal government asks the Lord's Council to summon a response to the gathering threat. And soon, a number of knights and mercenary units begin to gather in Eastfield. A month has passed since the Blue Fox's formation. Its leaders, Frederick, Walter Quinn, Iscarion, and Andreas, have spent this time expanding the unit. This has involved handling military drills and escort missions, as well as recruitment. Then, one day, the unit are ordered to make for Westfield to deal with rampaging demi-humans.
This will be the Blue Fox's first long-distance deployment. Expect a major battle. You are to eliminate a demi-human swarm that has laid waste to several Westfield villages. Their path so far suggests that they are set to attack the town of Yulden next. Yulden is located on the Jacquerie Highway that runs westward from Centralfield. It's the most prosperous town in all of Westfield, and an essential stopover for pilgrims and traders alike. Your task is to prevent the swarm from reaching Yulden and ensure that no harm befalls the town.
All while the Imperials draw ever closer.
There have only been reports of minor skirmishes with the enemy fleet descending upon Tagaria Naval Base. A major engagement has yet to occur. There is still time before the battle truly begins. Time aplenty for you to fulfill this mission.
It's just all so underwhelming.
There is just as much meaning to be found in defending Yulden as there is in fending off the Empire.
Please, I am in no mood for such nonsense.
Enough! We must hurry!
the Blue Foxes eliminate a demi-human horde that had been launching violent attacks in Westfield. Left with suspicions regarding the horde's behavior, Andreas sends out a scouting party. It soon emerges that the attacks were instigated by Hadi Solbay of the Aardwolf Thieves. This is reported to the Duke, who orders that the Aardwolves be put to the sword at once. Meanwhile, the knights and mercenaries of Eastfield are mobilized by the Lord's Council, and an army of 11,000 strong gathers at Tagaria Naval Base. The army is led by Alatane's Crown Prince himself, Ivangar Shatham. With the Imperial fleet looming ominously, the Alatanians prepare to face an imminent assault.
Our next mission involves the elimination of the Aardwolves. They're a band of ruthless criminals who'll commit any atrocity if it earns them coin. Our investigation into the demi-human attacks also revealed the Aardwolves to be linked to the Empire.
The Empire?
So that's the bigger picture. Stirring up domestic trouble to weaken us from within.
Correct. And the Aardwolves' leader, Hadi Solbay, is particularly notorious for his vicious crimes throughout the country. He's the one who arranged the attacks by the Gothrim bandits and the callous kidnappings of young women for Count Horace. The Duke feels we can ill afford inaction when our kingdom is already in dire straits.
The Aardwolves have long been elusive, but we have at last found their camp in Udine, West Centralfield. We can spring an ambush on them if we make a detour to the camp via the crags on the western side of the forest.
Understood. We must vanquish them before they move camp.
Lady Walterquin, you have a visitor.
Who?
It is I, Shivat Moltzin. I do say you are looking radiant as ever, my lady.
The Aardwolves fall prey to the Blue Foxes, but their leader, Hadi Solbay, manages to escape. As the group considers how best to track him down, they are paid a visit by one Shivat Maltsen. He had once been a retainer for House Redditch, and more recently, a high-ranking Aardwolf. Though he showed no hesitation in divulging the location of Solby's hideout, it seems he has taken to hiding in a cave near the Riodale River in Central Field. The unit are all set to depart for the river when they receive an unexpected visitor. It is Duke Hende himself, Lord Counselor and patron of the Blue Foxes.
This is everyone, I believe.
Splendid. Please be at ease. My presence should not be cause for alarm. Firstly, I must commend your efficient elimination of the Aardwolf Thieves. Alas, the leader of these bandits, Hadi Solbay, remains at large. Have you been able to locate him?
Fret not, Duke Hende. We have received information that he is in hiding in a location near the Riodale River.
That news is very good to hear. I doubt I need to stress how vital it is that you apprehend or kill this traitor. My sources also report that he possesses jade of exceptionally high quality. You will retrieve it from him, and you will utter not a word of this matter to anyone.
And thus, the true goal lies in the jade, then.
As you say, I will not deny it. You will recognize it as soon as you see it. Its superior brilliance is unmistakable.
Is that so? And just what exactly does your grace intend to do with this jade, pray tell?
All you need to know at this moment in time, Walterquin,
is that the fate of our nation depends on this mission.
Such a grandiose statement. Personally, I don't care what happens to the country.
Keep your thoughts to yourself, Walter Quinn.
Hadi Solbay, the leader of the Ardwolves, and its remnants, are laying low in the caves by the Riodale River. The mighty Riodale raises in Centralfield, and then crosses Southfield on its way to the sea.
That means Solby might be planning to make his escape to Southfield by boat.
He cannot be allowed to get away with the Jade. Blue Foxes pounce on him in his burrow before he has the chance to set sail.
He won't escape us this time, Your Grace.
And of course, we'll try not to forget about the Jade while we're at it, yes?
Naturally.
The fuse of war is lit, and clashes break out on the eastern coast between royal and imperial forces. These mark the start of what will become known as the Tagaria campaign. The royals boast numerical superiority and a mastery of ancient sorcery, and initially succeed in pushing back the Empire. But the Imperials respond by deploying a force of Wyvern riders, led by their general, Zavatian. If this Wyvern aerial assault breaks the Royals' line, the Empire will make landfall. A brutal struggle ensues, with neither side willing to give an inch. Ardwolf's leader, Hadi Solbay, is slain, and his Jade is retrieved by the royal government. Some Blue Foxes grow suspicious of the Duke, but given the escalation of military action, there is no time to entertain such doubts. The royals fighting the Empire in the Tagaria campaign have sent a formal request for help.
We have received word that hostilities have broken out at Tagaria. The Empire attempted to break through our fleet off the Tagarian coast in order to make landfall at the naval base. Fortunately, Prince Ivangar's elite squad was able to hold the line and push the Empire back. Currently, the naval battle is in a deadlock, though it does seem that some Imperial units have made it ashore. We too are to answer the Kingdom's call. Ready up and depart for the base.
We've finally been called up.
I never imagined we'd be fighting in a full-scale war.
Ultimately, your main objective is to assist the army. You are to provide reinforcements for the front line. En route to the base, however, you will also need to defeat units headed in this direction. You will take the Jacquerie Highway from Centralfield towards Tagaria. Expect to encounter the Wyvern Riders gathered near Bald Greatbridge at some point.
Wyvern Riders?
They are knights mounted on winged creatures, wyverns, who nimbly attack from above.
I believe that is a job for your bow and arrows, Iska. The Blue Foxes are counting on you. Now more than ever.
Not a thought that brings me joy.
Well, the way I see it, the war looks bleak. Especially if we're being called up to fight.
Look at it this way. This is a rare opportunity to show what we can do.
You have such a yearning for war.
I can't comprehend it.
Enough, Iska. We're to make for Eastfield at once. Lorraine, what news from the front?
Reports state that royal forces temporarily repelled the Imperial advance. forcing them to retreat to the Eastern Sea. Since then, however, they have headed north and are making landfall once more near Nonda.
Nonda? But that area is surrounded by precipitous cracks. An army could never pass through there.
Nevertheless, they are finding a way to cross the range. By what means, though, I have yet to confirm. All that can be ascertained is that they now appear to be marching southward from the heart of the Nondaran Mountains. Prince Ivangar anticipated their movements and mobilized 8,000 of his own elite fighters. They intercepted the invaders in the foothills of the Nondarans. So far, the Empire's weaponry and discipline means they hold out despite inferior numbers. Of course, Ivangar's troops are the best in the kingdom, and the terrain is favorable. But
is it something that ought to concern us?
Scouts have reported that further Imperial reinforcements are en route to Tagaria. That means the naval base is at risk of capture. The garrison there would be easily overrun if the Empire attacked, as it now only consists of a few remaining guards and mercenaries.
If the port falls, Ivangar's troops would be left vulnerable. The Empire would crush them. Of that there is no doubt.
This is no mere coincidence. It must have been their intent all along.
Then it's up to us to deal with the Imperial reinforcements.
Duke Hende has issued no such order. The Blue Foxes are currently on standby.
However, needs must at times like these. If we do nothing, Lord Ivangar could meet his end.
But even if we were to overcome the reinforcements, there's no guarantee of victory.
We must have faith in our Prince Iska and concentrate on doing our part. Let's go!
The Empire's first invasion attempt appears to have been unsuccessful. A mercenary unit known as the Blue Foxes, stopping their reinforcements from coming ashore. The main conflict, however, takes place in the north, where Ivangar and Zavatian's armies clash violently. Zavatian and Ivangar engage in single combat, but the prince's fearless onslaught is easily repelled. At last, a fateful bullet pierces the prince's chest, and as his life is snuffed out, so too is the morale of his army. With the now leaderless Alitanians in complete disarray, Zavatian's forces press their advantage and march south. Word of this spreads quickly through the royal ranks. And before long, the entire army is ordered to retreat from Eastfield. The order also applies to the Blue Foxes, despite their victory. Thus, the Alitanian army was defeated by the Empire. Having secured Tagaria, however, the Imperial forces halt their advance and set up camp. Meanwhile, the citizens of Alitane fall into despair. Their prince is dead, and the shores of their island breached for the first time in centuries. Seeking succor in their time of despair, They come to lean upon the Granvelle Church.
My first ever encounter with Levantia Shatham was certainly a vivid one. On the day I was assigned to be his chamberlain, he introduced himself to me not as a prince, as one would expect, but as an equal. He had a calm smile and exuded wisdom that belied his young age. One day, it was decided that Levantia would be sent to House Leicester, whose head, Arlim, was a close ally of the king. A decision made in secret. Among the bustling activity surrounding the prince, an air of uneasiness had started to brew. He seemed aware of it, yet as we spoke in the carriage to Leicestershire, there wasn't a hint of worry in his voice, nor was there the slightest change to his smile. My fears must have been plain to see. He gave me a beaming grin, as if to cheer me up. As we came to a halt, I hurried out to open the carriage door. Levantia alighted with his usual grace, and then, bursting out of the front doors of the manor, came a young boy grinning from ear to ear. He had this lively look to him, brimming with a curiosity for all things. He briskly approached us and exchanged introductions with Levantia. There was a youthful warmth to his voice that assured me that he bore no malice, and I began to feel at ease. Having already become fast friends, the two then turned to me and called me over. Even today, I can't explain my feelings in that moment.
After capturing Tagaria, the Empire's relentless progress appears to have temporarily abated. Alas, this does little to assuage Alatanian fears, and they begin to seek refuge in religion. In response to this demand, the Granvelle Church carries out its activities with increased vigor. Among its new initiatives is a promise to rescue a number of children from Westfield. They were orphaned following a disaster in the barren lands of Baladin Wilds and left to fend for themselves. The church enlists the Blue Foxes to rescue the orphans and bring them to safety.
This mission has come from the Granvelle Church. You will be heading to Westfield's Baladin Wilds. Wilds is not a misnomer. The region is all but uninhabitable. The land there is barren and ill-suited to agriculture. A true wasteland, plagued by natural disasters and infested with monsters. A recent tornado laid waste to one village, and many of the local children were orphaned. Escort the priests to Baladin and bring the children back to enter the care of the church.
This is to be our mission, while Tagaria remains occupied.
There's no need to be preoccupied with Tagaria, Fred. Right now, we bide our time till the right moment. We must be patient.
And besides, we're mercenaries, are we not? We simply go where we're told.
But is our assistance actually required? What became of the children's parents?
It is reported many died trying to protect their young.
I wonder what brought them to that place. It's such a desolate and dangerous region.
Their village borders the frontier, the only region of DioField Island that remains completely uninhabited. It's one of the Granvelle Church's holiest sites.
All those tales are simply nonsense. People are foolish to believe in such fanciful legends.
Foolish or not, let's head for Baladin.
Having helped the unit rescue the Baladin orphans, young Magicka Estalt Ufair is allowed to join the Blue Foxes. Meanwhile, fears of another Imperial advance prompt Alatane to open talks with the Alliance. The Alliance was formed in order to halt the Trovelt-Shovian Empire's relentless expansion. It contains dozens of nations, but its key members are the republics of Verma, Aluj, and Porrand. The Lord's Council chooses Duke William Hende as their representative to lead the negotiating delegation. The first round of talks takes place in Southfield with representatives from Verma and Porrand. The Blue Foxes escort the Duke to the summit and are tasked with ensuring his safety throughout. Alas, the Duke rejects the Alliance's conditions outright, and negotiations are suspended. This rejection infuriates a Vermin diplomat by the name of Dalmazio, and he is seen cursing the Duke's name as he leaves the summit.
I am afraid that talks with the Roadtail Alliance have broken down. The terms they proposed were simply unacceptable. True shame.
And these terms were?
They demanded exclusive jade extraction rights from the Gaian mines for 50 years, no less. A preposterous request.
Duke Hende!
What's the matter, Lorraine?
Alliance troops advance, and on this position, no less. This man will brief you on the situation.
My name's Kastivir Bernal, a knight of the Republic of Verma. If I might be so very bold, Duke Hende, this is a predicament of your own making. The Alliance's diplomats lost great face when you summarily rejected their offer.
Frankly, the offer they proposed was simply unacceptable. If you've come here to have me reconsider, you are wasting your time.
These Alliance troops, they've been sent as an unofficial message. You are surrounded, but I will aid you nonetheless.
Why would a Vermin knight betray the Alliance to assist us?
Simple. Because my country has already betrayed me. I can no longer return there.
Given the circumstances, we've no choice but to trust him. If he's a spy, we know what to do.
I have requested military support from the Royal Forces stationed in Southfield.
We must buy some time until they arrive.
Whatever happens, please stay inside, Duke Hende. We will protect you at all costs.
Negotiations with the Alliance break down, causing Dalmazio to summon his guard and unleash them on Duke Hende. The Blue Foxes fend off the attack, and Dalmazio returns home with his tail between his legs. Yet the unexpected breakdown of discussions angers the mediating Southfield nobles. With House Redditch out of the picture, House Engram became openly critical of the royal government, playing into the Southfield aristocrats' fears that they would lose control of their territories. Before long, House Engram had succeeded in organizing a rebellion to overthrow the monarch's rule. In response, Duke Hende orders the Blue Foxes to nip the nobles' uprising in the bud.
This mission will take you to Grost Crypt in northern Southfield. That is where the nobles of Southfield are gathering to make preparations for their insurrection against Centralfield. Your task is to prevent this rebellion.
I used to play in those catacombs all the time when I was but a little girl. Some fools like to claim that they're haunted.
Have we managed to determine the instigator of this insurrection?
Yes. He's called Zachariah, a fixer and middleman for members of the upper class. He has allied himself with House Engram and has been recruiting local nobles to their cause.
All this in retaliation for the breakdown of negotiations with the Alliance?
Perhaps. In any case, it is a futile effort. I'm surprised the Duke has reacted with such urgency.
Wouldn't it be because he's planning to expand his sphere of influence to Southfield?
Excuse me?
There would be nothing untoward about it. Duke Hende is on the Lord's Council, after all. He's a representative of the kingdom.
Yes, well, it doesn't explain why the nobles of Southfield would try something so utterly foolish.
I suppose we'll soon find out.
It's now or never.
What the? Some creature has burst out the ground!
Is it a wyvern skeleton? No! It's far too big!
Was it them who summoned it?
This isn't right! Why isn't it listening to me?
What's happening, Zachariah?
Walter Quinn.
What a treat. I simply cannot resist.
It's coming at us!
Rise from the dark depths of your tombs, my corpse army. Now is the time to unleash your rage upon this hapless puppet.
Walter Quinn?
Oh, it's too much. Too much. I simply can't resist any longer. This hex is too delicious.
Walter Quinn.
Yes? What is it?
Walter Quinn, are you listening?
Of course. Why are you pulling that scary face?
Enough of the little girl act. You summoned the dead right in front of us.
Ah, you noticed then?
Of course we did. When were you planning on telling us about your powers?
I never knew I had them. It's just something that happened on impulse.
How did you know how to do that?
I must have a knack for these things.
Does this mean that it was in fact you who made the corpses rise at House Redditch.
Well, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have been able to make our escape, no?
But does that mean... Did you kill the Redditches? Your own family?
I wonder.
I don't know what to say.
Surely you're not all that surprised.
Look, let's talk about this later, shall we? I'm keen to leave this place behind.
The nobles' insurrection is thwarted by the Blue Foxes, and its leaders are killed in battle. Not wasting any time, Duke Hende dispatches his troops to the now leaderless Southfield. And before long, the vacated domains have all been taken under the Duke's control. The Duke immediately introduces stricter laws, as well as higher taxes. He also sets about eradicating any local customs and beliefs which he deems to be dangerous. Having grown used to light-touch governance, the people of Southfield find such moves oppressive. Indeed, many choose to relocate to other parts of DioField to escape from the suffocating policies. A number of the recently displaced Southfield natives come to Central Field, advocating the adoption of democracy. This new political movement gains followers among those dissatisfied with the royal government. Riots ensued. Instilling fear throughout the government, the Blue Foxes are brought in to quell the chaos.
Your mission today is to suppress a riot in Hodlam, a slum in Central Field. The doctrine of democracy, invented on the continent, has begun to take root among the commoners.
The reason for the sudden spread of democracy in the slums, is this due to refugees from Southfield taking up residence there?
Yes, the people's growing discontent is manifesting itself as violent riots and looting. You must urgently restore the peace. Bear in mind, however, that the rioters are not soldiers. They are civilians, unaccustomed to fighting. It is vital that casualties are kept to a minimum.
Understood.
Why should rioters receive special treatment? An enemy's an enemy. I, for one, shan't be going easy on them.
Through our recent excursions, the Blue Foxes have built up a formidable reputation in Central Field. It is likely that some rioters will immediately surrender their arms upon your arrival.
That's right. All the more reason to avoid bloodshed.
I don't make concessions in battle.
They may be vulnerable, people coerced into participating. So you will have to on this occasion, Walter Quinn.
It's their own fault for being completely powerless and spineless. Why should I feel any pity?
What's wrong with you? As mercenaries, our livelihood is in violence. Sometimes we must take lives, but Duke Hende ordered for no unnecessary deaths. We must uphold that.
Let us depart.
Over 6 months have passed since the Trovelchovian Empire captured Tagaria Naval Base. Several attempts were made to retake the base during this period, but Commander Osmoldo Selica's garrison has proved impossible to displace. Osmoldo's forces are clearly superior, yet he has made no attempt to push on beyond Tagaria. A state of affairs that left the royal government perplexed as to his motives. In the meantime, the Blue Foxes have been put to work suppressing riots in the slums of Central Field. While doing so, Walter Quinn shocks her comrades by ignoring orders and deploying lethal force. On the one hand, Walter Quinn's violent conduct achieves the desired result. the terrified rioters promptly surrender. On the other hand, it severely tarnishes the Blue Fox's reputation, rightly or wrongly marking them as ruthless killers. As a result, their patron, Duke Hende, has also become a target for criticism from other members of the Lord's Council. Though this did little to discourage him from continuing to strengthen his grip over Southfield. Before the month was up, the Duke had become the de facto ruler of the entire region.
Listen up, Blue Foxes. We are deploying to Dagaria's port to seize it.
What?
A bit ambitious for a small unit like ours, don't you think?
Finally, a battle worthy of the name. What's the plan?
Let's hear a situation report before making any plans. Lorraine, if you would.
Very well. 6,000 Imperial soldiers have been positioned to hold a defensive line between the base and the western grasslands. The Royal Army has already stationed 20,000 troops in the area. But their attempts to break through the line have so far been futile.
We only have 600 people. Outnumbered 10 to 1. A frontal assault is hopeless.
The Imperial and Royal armies are at a complete deadlock, solely focused on keeping a watchful eye on their opponent's movements. We'll set off from Southfield, now in the Duke's domain, circle around Dagaria Naval Base, and launch our attack from the sea. The Empire isn't yet aware who's now controlling Southfield. They won't see this coming.
I see. Taking advantage of Duke Hende's domestic conquest, eh?
The only troops stationed at the base itself are Commander Osmaldo and a handful of officers. If we take them out, the Empire's defensive line will be leaderless and prone to collapse. Alatain can then push through with numbers alone.
Using our hapless allies as bait while we sneak up to stab the enemy in the back. Genius.
I don't share Quinn's enthusiasm, but I agree that it is time for us to seize the initiative.
I suggest we deploy at once.
The Blue Foxes defeat General Osmaldo at Dagaria, delivering a blow to the Imperial front line. Seizing their opportunity, the Alatanian forces pour forward into the base, striking the Imperial troops as they reel from the previous attack. The Imperial forces crumple in disarray and are forced to retreat across the sea. And so, after 6 long months of occupation, Dagaria is reclaimed by the kingdom. Word of this great victory spreads throughout DioField, along with rousing tales of the heroic Blue Foxes. Frederick, Walter Quinn, Iscarion, and Andreas all receive accolades from the royal government. And the Blue Foxes are promoted from mere mercenaries to Knights of the Lord's Council. Their triumphant return is celebrated lavishly, with glasses being raised all over Central Field, voices echoing their names across the land. Two months have passed, and with the Empire repelled, the political squabbling amongst members of the Lord's Council resumes. The question of royal succession, little discussed upon the death of Prince Ivangar, surfaces again, and tension between the factions increases by the day. Lord Councillor Kimball is in favor of the second-born, Victor Shatham, while Lord Councillor Joshua has thrown his weight behind the third-born, Staris Shatham. Duke Hende declines to pick a side, instead biding his time, waiting to see what might develop. While he waits, the Duke begins to search for new jade deposits, ostensibly mindful of the potential for war. Said to be in preparation for foreign aggression, in reality, it is simply a front for his ambitions, a means to gain a factional edge. The search for jade deposits will take place in the frontier, a vast swathe of unexplored land. The task of surveying this territory falls to the Blue Foxes.
Your next mission will be an expedition to the frontier. You are tasked with locating jade deposits and securing them with all possible haste. A sorcerium-rich river has been sighted near Bearfess Cataract, in the east of the frontier. It is believed that there is a plentitude of jade to be found in proximity to this area. However, the frontier is the only unexplored part of DioField Island. Powerful monsters and demi-humans have been seen there, making this a very dangerous mission.
Walter Quinn and I will undertake this expedition. We are well versed in both ancient sorcery and jade.
Iska, you and I will remain stationed at our posts in Central Field.
The Kingdom's magickas have sufficient supply already. What is the point in stockpiling it?
The reason is simple. It is better that we acquire it before the Empire or the Alliance claim it for their own. While I understand that the instability in Central Field may suggest that we have more pressing priorities, Duke Hende seems very set on securing this crucial resource.
How strange. I wonder what dastardly scheme he has in mind.
Enough speculation. Look sharp. We have an expedition to prepare for.
Oh, indeed. And I expect to be properly escorted.
We're counting on you, Rias.
We'll take care of it.
1 month has passed since Andreas and Walter Quinn set forth for the frontier. Frederick and Iscarion, who stayed behind in Central Field, attempt to prevent further rioting before chaos unfurls. Alas, these efforts are mostly unsuccessful. The riots continue, largely unabated. In an attempt to calm the situation, Iscarion seeks to cooperate with the democratic activists. To this end, he pays a secret visit to the Consulate of Porrand, the one democratic member of the Alliance.
Your mission is to suppress the radicalized democratic activists in the capital. Rioters have gathered in the slums. Vandalizing and looting are rife.
Rioters again?
Yes, but there is a difference this time. They are acting on the behest of a single agitator. His name is Galvin Yohavo. He's fanning the flames and causing the riots to grow fiercer by the day. We have received orders from Duke Hende to capture Yohavo with all possible haste.
Good. And we shall also ensure that the insolence of the Democrats is suitably punished.
Fred, please listen. Looting and violence are not inevitable byproducts of democratic activism. Look, I spoke with their representative. They seem amenable to negotiate. So long as we temporarily withdraw.
We will not negotiate with the rioters' ringleader. It's imperative we suppress them at once.
They've simply allowed their rancor to get the better of them. Let us cease this one-sided oppression.
Iska, what has got into you? You ought to know the danger posed by the ideology of democracy.
A nation requires a monarch to lead it.
And if that monarch is incompetent, what becomes of us then?
A king is a king. If they sit upon the throne, they must be obeyed.
Gentlemen, please. Time is of the essence. Please make haste to Rivingale Docktown.
Iska, we'll speak no more of this.
The Blue Foxes suppress the violence in Rivendell and capture the instigator, Galvin Yohavo. A few days later, however, Yohavo escapes from his cell near Elm Camp in Central Field. It is presumed that Democratic sympathizers aided his escape, though the truth is still unknown. Upon returning to Central Field some days later, the Blue Foxes meet Tremina Umbert at Elm Camp, where she informs them that she wants to join the unit. She claims to be dismayed by the activists' behavior and offers to aid in suppressing their destructive actions. Iskarion acceded to her request without the slightest hesitation. Frederick initially refused to let Tremina join the Blue Foxes, but eventually gave in to Iskarion's insistence. Upon return, Andreas and Walterquin report to Duke Hende. They give him a false account, claiming not to have found any jade near Bearfest Cataract. The Duke is immediately dubious of this claim and orders that the Blue Fox's property be searched. Andreas has kept the jade well hidden, however, and the Duke's men come back empty-handed. Meanwhile, Frederick and Iskarion are given orders to suppress the pro-democracy riots in Rivendell. Their experiences lead to the two men having very different opinions of the democratic cause. The Blue Fox leaders, Frederick, Walterquin, Iskarion, and Andreas, reunite after several months apart. Just as their divergent desires are becoming apparent, Estalt appears, bearing a letter. In it are laid bare the deepest inner workings of the Granvelle Church.
We're going to rescue Catherine.
Are we? But why?
Because she's asked us to. What's more, we can expose the secrets of the church in the process.
And assuming we can actually pull this off, the Blue Fox's credibility will be stronger than ever. Not only would our reputation grow, it would also drive a wedge between the factions. A welcome development.
Surely we ought to discuss this matter with Duke Hende. Or with Lorraine, at the very least.
We lack the time. Catherine might be killed while we stand around waiting for permission. Have you any other objections?
Oh no, none at all. I was never opposed to the idea in the first place. On the contrary, I can't wait to get one over on those pigs.
There is a secret passage that leads into the Granville Church headquarters. If we take that path, we should find ourselves where Catherine is being held.
All right, lead the way.
Catherine's shocking testimony exposes the hidden scandal of the Granvelle Church. The resulting furor causes Archbishop Joshua's influence on the Lord's Council to wane as the turmoil amongst its members increases. Meanwhile, warships from the Trovelt-Shovian Empire are sighted along the coast of South Field. And by morning, the Dagland trading port has been captured by a fleet of 30 ships. The fleet made the unprecedented move of advancing via an alliance trading route. Taken by surprise, and with Duke Hende's local forces offering seemingly no resistance. And so, once again, the Kingdom of Alitane surrenders a foothold to the Empire. To compound matters, word starts to spread that King Rhaegal Chatham has fallen critically ill.
Lorraine, what's the matter?
Lorraine is unwell. I shall brief us in her place. My scout has sighted a group of Imperial troops heading north, although they do not appear to be an invading force. Nevertheless, the Lord's Council have given us permission to engage and prevent any further advance, if they reach Central Field. If we deploy to Barngor Marshes immediately, we should be able to intercept their front line.
You seem unusually well prepared, Rias. This feels strange. What are you up to?
Yes, what's this all of a sudden?
Indeed. I see what Walter Quinn is getting at. Rias, just what exactly is going on?
Let's talk about this after the battle. Matters that are unclear now will resolve once we engage the enemy.
Very well.
Fine. We'll talk about this later. For now, let's make haste for Barngor Marshes.
The Blue Foxes deployed to Barngor Marshes and routed a detachment of Imperial troops. Andreas insisted on the deployment, convinced that Duke Hende had secret ties to the Empire. He soon discovers their covert meeting place and finds a letter bearing the Duke's seal. Frederick is enraged at Duke Hende's betrayal and calls for his head, a sentiment Andreas shares. A troubled expression creeps over Iskarion's face as he becomes momentarily lost in his thoughts. While Walter Quinn seems eerily uninterested, unnervingly quiet, and wholly unaffected. Following a brief discussion, however, the Blue Foxes agree that the Duke is to be executed.
We must make for Duke Hende's manor at once. Let us take him by surprise and finish this quickly.
Yes, we will not report to the Lord's Council until after it's done. The Duke is not to be warned.
Duke Hende's manor has many a back door, the least guarded of which faces the woods to the west. If you sneak in through there, cross the back courtyard, and go to the top floor... No. Wait. Your best bet to get to the Duke would be to head directly for his master bedroom.
Lorraine, do you truly support our plan?
I do. My mind is made up.
Once the Duke is dead, what becomes of us?
Iska, no longer need we serve as Duke Hende's pet army.
We are Knights of the Lord's Council, an independent force. Do not forget that.
The royal government is too fractured to deliver justice, and that is exactly where our services come into play. As long as Lorraine serves as our intermediary, there should be no issues between us and the Lord's Council.
Very well. And you are certain that what we are doing is best for the people of the kingdom?
From how I see it, I believe we are.
Then, in that case, I'm with you all the way. Walter Quinn, what about you?
Oh, I can't wait to get started. I haven't been this excited since we took back Tagaria. Lorraine, coming to watch?
Enough, Quinn. We need to go.
Having slain his way through the guards, Andreas was finally face to face with Duke William Hende. Putting aside the debt he owed, Andreas informed the Duke that he was a rebel against the state and was to be purged. Yet, rather than fall into Andreas's hands, the Duke took poison, electing death on his own terms. Andreas silently observes the Duke's final moments. The Blue Foxes present the Lord's Council with evidence linking Duke Hende to the Empire. They also report that he has paid for his treason with his life. The Council denounced the Blue Fox's unilateral action, but with the factional conflict worsening apace, they are in no position to punish them for it. Duke Hende's death may have spelt the end for his faction, but the broader conflict rages on. Lord Councillor Kimball supports the second-born prince, Victor Shatham, while Lord Councillor Joshua is a staunch backer of the third-born, Starish Shatham. The dispute between their respective factions continues to escalate, becoming violent at times. And then, Rhaegal Shatham breathes his last, and the throne of Alatane lies vacant.
We have received an order from Lord Councillor Kimball. The Westfield town of Eulden has been overrun with violence and theft. Our task is to restore order. It seems that mercenaries are to blame, many having lost their patrons in the faction conflict.
I have certainly heard tales of mercenaries left bereft by the passing of their noble masters.
I wouldn't be surprised if Archbishop Joshua were fanning the flames behind the scenes.
Will the princes stop at nothing to win the throne?
Regardless, our orders are clear.
Quinn, try to keep casualties to a minimum.
I make no promises.
Quinn!
Thank you for agreeing to meet me. What I'm about to tell you must be kept secret, at least until the time is right. Thus far, you have all known me as Frederick Lester. But this is not my real name. I am Levantia Shatham, fourth son of the late Rhaegal Shatham.
He can't be.
Fritz? A prince?
Is this really true, Andreas?
Let him explain.
I have kept quiet all this time because I thought one fewer prince would make life easier.
Does this mean... I had always thought that Prince Levantia had been assassinated when he was a child.
The one who was killed that day was Frederick Leicestershire, a boy of my age from House Leicester.
I don't believe it. How can you prove that this is true?
Look at my arm. This mark only appears on members of the Shatham family. This proves my lineage.
That's the mark of the blessed.
We all bore witness to the destruction that beset Eulden. I cannot abide this carnage any longer. It is time to fulfill my destiny as the true royal heir. Therefore, to right this kingdom's wicked path, I ask you all to lend me your strength.
What? Well, that's my son.
How can this be?
How
can Fred from the
That is one creepy smile. You're really a prince? Please stop that.
You're telling me that we're such as leaders in Aladin?
I'll have no part in it. I'm leaving. I finally got a glimpse at your true intentions, Rias, and I for one shall not be caught up in it all.
Quinn!
The rest of you might want to consider following my lead. Rias, is this really what you want?
The Blue Foxes succeed in calming the situation in Eulden, but violent conflict continues to rage throughout DioField. Meanwhile, Archbishop Joshua deploys his fiercely loyal Templar Knights to Turnberry Meadows. Lord Kimball's troops march there to meet them, and the two factions confront each other head-on. Elsewhere, the Blue Foxes are called to a meeting where Frederick reveals himself to be Prince Levantia, to the shock of the unit. Unwilling to support Frederick's bid for the throne, Walter Quinn leaves the unit. With the factional battle imminent, the Blue Foxes receive an order to eliminate the Archbishop.
Lord Kimball has requested that we eliminate Archbishop Joshua ahead of their showdown. Lord Kimball is marching from Westfield with 6,000 troops. They will advance upon the Archbishop's encampment in Northfield, where he has a force of 4,500 stationed. Our units have been secretly deployed to Turnberry Meadows, ready to infiltrate Archbishop Joshua's base.
It would appear that Lord Kimball knows how to get the best out of us.
Perhaps so. But to what end? And will aiding him really benefit the nation as a whole?
Yes, the nation would benefit from being rid of turmoil. Therefore, it stands to reason that one side must prevail.
At what point do you plan to reveal your true identity, Frederick? Was your intention not to become king?
For the moment, I am solely focused on the fight at hand. Confusion will only lead to unnecessary casualties.
Very well.
Immediately after defeating the Archbishop, the Blue Foxes receive a shocking piece of news. While leading his army to an anticipated victory, Prince Victor is ambushed and slain by Walter Quinn, who, after leaving the Blue Foxes, is now leading a strike force that answers to Archbishop Joshua. Taking a leaf from her former unit's book, they had ambushed from the rear. The Blue Foxes make for Turnberry Meadows to join Lord Kimball. But by the time they arrive, Walter Quinn and her allies are already long gone.
We must not tarry any longer. Harlig Lynn must be captured. Starris's remaining devotees will begin to rally quickly, and with force as soon as they receive word of Victor's death.
They need only the support of the majority of the council, and their man will be king. We have no time to lose.
We have word that Leomir, between Harleg Lynn and the capital, has been sacked. It seems likely that this was done by Walter Quinn, in an attempt to slow us down.
We must act now, else she may become unstoppable. She may even have killed Starris already.
I dread to think.
Let's go!
The undead of Leomir proved to be the corpses of the townsfolk, raised by necromancy. Enraged at this scene of utter depravity, the Blue Foxes march on Harlig Lynn. Despite further encounters with the relentless undead, raised from hamlets along the way, the Blue Foxes arrive at their destination not a moment too soon.
Our mission is simple. Storm the church's headquarters and eliminate Walter Quinn and Starris.
Harleg Lynn is built like a fortress, but its layout is rather simple. A direct approach will serve you best, provided you can deal with any undead you'll encounter.
Riaz, are you all right?
Believe me, your reluctance is understandable.
What are you talking about? I'm not the least bit reluctant.
Good. Then we can be off. Let's go.
Lion of ruin and slaughter, stray of hell, give me your body, serve me well! Well, Rias, how about you all play for a bit?
Walter Quinn, wait!
I wish I could see the look on your face. Don't worry. You'll see me again before long. I promise you.
Over the 200-year reign of the Shatham dynasty, the crown has passed 10 times from father to son, with the rightful heir within the royal bloodline always indicated by the Mark of the Blessed. The mark is a signifier of magical ability and is believed to denote persons of unique power. With the rightful heir, Prince Ivangar, slain on the battlefield, his 2 unmarked siblings vie desperately for the throne. Civil war results, rendering the once mighty Alatain divided and weak. After bringing down Walter Quinn, the Blue Foxes discover the remains of the third-born prince, Starris Shatham. They bury his body, clean up the carnage at Haleg Lynn, and prepare to return to Central Field. With the princes dead and the future of the kingdom in doubt, Fredrit makes a startling announcement, one that will change the nation. He is Levantia Shatham, the 4th-born prince. News that a beloved blue fox was in fact a royal greatly excited the people of Alatain, and many started to look forward to the start of his new reign. But while the common people rejoiced, a schism formed amongst the members of the Lord's Council. However, even those who doubted the veracity of Fredrit's claim struggled to argue against a successor bearing the mark. To settle the matter, Andrea seeks the aid of Hezelia Shatham, Levantia's younger sister.
The 2nd and 3rd-born princes are dead, along with their supporters. What do you intend to do now?
We rescue Hezelia Shatham, King Rhaegalt's youngest child.
Hezelia Shatham? The Phantom Princess?
Only she can affirm Fred's lineage. She's our last hope.
The princess is locked away in Beazle Tower, in the mountains between Westfield and Centralfield. Victor's former supporters have holed up there, and may wish to use his sister for political ends.
And by political ends, you mean putting Hezelia forward as the true heir to the throne. Is that about the sum of it?
Precisely. We need to stamp that fire out before it blazes out of our control.
So you're saying we rescue her and have her back up the claim that Fred is Levantia? I must say that it's quite the scheme.
I'm the only one she has left now. She'll want to help her brother. I'll go alone if I must.
Who are you?
Princess Hezelia. We bear the same mark. Look.
The mark of the blessed?
Yes. My name is Levantia Shatham. Your brother. Sister, your incredulity is understandable. We were but children when last we met.
My brother?
Princess Hezelia, we have something to ask of you. Would you accompany us to Central Field and attest that this is your brother, Levantia Shatham?
You mean I can be free of this place?
Indeed, we have come to release you.
Please.
Very well, I shall do as you ask.
The Blue Foxes rescue Princess Hezelia Shatham from her imprisonment in Beazle Tower and bring her to Central Field to testify in front of the Lord's Council. There, she confirms that Frederick Lester is in fact her brother, Prince Levantia Shatham. The Council are suitably convinced, and proceedings for the coronation officially begin. Meanwhile, Empire-occupied Dagland trading port is no longer beset by violent chaos. An eerie quiet falls. Then, news arrives. The Empire is marching north.
Sorry I'm late.
How go the plans for the coronation?
Well enough, but selecting the new Archbishop of the Granville Church is proving difficult.
Oh, you need not worry about that. The matter has been settled.
Then let us speak of the mission.
Very well. We have received word that the Imperial Army has begun to march north from Dagland. Their aim appears to be Riadel River, a location that would confer a major military advantage. However, you should be able to intercept them at Graves Basin, directly south of here.
And intercept them we shall, with Hezelia accompanying us, at her own behest, no less.
What?
She's capable enough. She bears the mark, remember? She has no lack of magical talent.
In that case, it is only right that I lead our forces from the front.
How very fitting for a prince. Now let's get moving.
Having defeated their vanguard, Frederick resolves to eradicate the Empire ahead of his coronation. In order to do so, he decides to ask the Alliance to supplement the kingdom's forces. Iskarion's ties with the Rotail Alliance mean that he is tasked with setting up the negotiations. They are to take place on the Kelling Peninsula in southern Southfield, far from prying Imperial eyes.
The aim of this mission is to rendezvous with the Alliance on the Kelling Peninsula in Southfield. We will approach from the southwest to avoid the Empire. It is a significant detour. Crazed monsters have been sighted along this route, so please proceed with caution.
Iskarion, who is the Alliance's representative?
It would appear they'll be sending our friend Commander Dalmatio.
Dalmatio. He was the one who turned on us after negotiations with Duke Hende broke down.
Is he really to be trusted?
Whether we trust him or not, he commands the majority of Alliance ships. We have no choice but to negotiate with him. We are the ones who suggested we work together. We should just have to see what it is they demand in return.
and then decide on the spot whether those demands are acceptable.
Then that's our course. We must expel the Empire.
The Blue Foxes meet with Commander Dalmatio of the Alliance on the Kelling Peninsula. And together, they agree on a plan for attacking Dagland Trading Port. Out of an abundance of caution, Andreas and Iscarion decide to keep the plan a secret. Dawn breaks on the day of the attack, and Alliance ships commence their naval assault on Dagland. Upon hearing of this, the Blue Foxes immediately convene in order to mobilize.
It is time to reclaim what is rightfully ours. Lorraine, if you would.
The Vermin Navy has commenced its assault. This is our cue to proceed south. They will draw the Empire's attention outwards to the sea, while we strike their headquarters in Dagland from the north.
I shall expel all invaders from my land. Let us begin.
Having expelled the Empire with the aid of the Alliance, the Blue Foxes return to Central Field. A coronation ceremony presided over by the new Archbishop, Hezelia Shatham, is convened, and Frederick takes the throne as King Levantia Shatham, the 12th King of Alatain. But in the shadow of the pageantry, two men face off. Andreas has confronted Iscarion. Iscarion states his intention to leave the Blue Foxes, having become unable to reconcile his beliefs with the unit's actions. However, Andreas has no intention of allowing his departure. The two stare each other down. The tension in the air could have been cut with a knife. But in the end, Andreas relents. In the moments before departing, Iscarion thanks his former leader, but cannot stop himself leaving one final warning about the path their actions may lead them down. Unable to respond, Andreas watches as his former comrade walks away, once and for all. Iscarion had long been relied upon as the unit's chief coordinator, and his departure shakes them. But then, a scout brings an urgent message. It seems the Alliance forces stationed in Dagland Trading Port have started looting in Southfield. And Frederick's reign as king threatens to have a most inauspicious opening chapter.
What word from Dalmatio?
He says that he is taking what he is owed for assisting us in battle.
Which is why we must make as short work of this as possible.
This was always bound to happen, one way or another. This is just how the Alliance operates.
Then what the devil are we to do about it?
There is one option. There is a large vein of jade situated west of Dagland. We have spies in place around Dalmatio who could divulge this information, and I doubt he would be able to resist acting upon it. Then we set an ambush in Rowell Marsh and eliminate him as he passes through.
I see.
And so, in the meantime, we turn a blind eye to the looting going on in Southfield.
We would have to, yes.
If this is the path that leads to fewer casualties, then so be it. Good. Our course of action is decided.
Having repelled the Empire from the realm and reclaimed the occupied region of Southfield, the fourth-born Prince Levantia Shatham becomes the 12th King of Alatain in Whitsbreath 1503. The ascension of a new monarch to the throne was expected to put an end to the kingdom's enduring hardships. And yet, beyond this veil of hope, the darkness creeps ever closer. Soon after the coronation, the Blue Foxes must deal with Alliance looters down in Southfield. These are soon crushed, but it emerges that Imperial troops remain in Alatain. The kingdom sends out knights to look for them in every region, but they are unable to locate the remnant enemy headquarters. A full month passes before Fredrit receives word that a cluster of Imperials have been spotted. The Blue Foxes head to the location at once. The Gaian Mines in Northfield.
What news of the Imperial stragglers?
It seems they may not in fact be mere stragglers.
Have you some new information?
Reports claim that there are a significant number of elite soldiers included in their ranks. Our intelligence suggests that the largest gatherings of the remnant forces are taking place at Gaian Mines. The mines are remote and contain deposits of highly concentrated jade. What's more, the surrounding terrain is barely penetrable. It's the ideal base for the Imperials.
Damn it! Is there no end to them? I shall drive them all out!
Calm down. How will the kingdom find peace with a king who jumps at shadows?
But this is our chance while they are all assembled. We should send our best and crush them.
Fine. Do what you will.
The Blue Foxes slay the Imperials in Gaian Mines and are making preparations to return home when they receive word that an even larger force has been sighted in Westfield. Fredrit immediately decides to confront them, determined to drive the Empire out of the kingdom. And so, the Blue Foxes march for Rigyar Strand, where the Imperials are said to be hiding. The Strand is land that once belonged to a noble named Alrim Lester. It was the place where Fredrit and Andreas first met.
We have received reports of Imperial troops occupying Westfield's Rigyar Strand.
Ah, Rigyar. I know it well.
They are far greater in number than those that had gathered in Gaian Mines. What's more, they are operating without secrecy. It seems to be almost a provocation.
Fear not. I have knowledge of the terrain. I shall summon enough knights to overpower the Imperials. We shall trap them in a pincer and end this once and for all.
It is surprising, though. How could so many of the enemy have entered the kingdom?
It is likely that they trickled in through the port in Dagland before we were able to take it back from the Empire. And now they've begun to move.
Kill them all. Rigyar is Lesterland. I shan't have Imperial boots despoiling it.
Yes, it means much to me too.
Then you ought not object.
We shall eradicate the Empire from our lands.
In an attempt to defeat the Empire's elite forces, Fredrit focuses all his might on Rigyar Strand. But just as their foes are defeated and victory is at hand, the Blue Foxes receive ill tidings. Imperial vessels bearing soldiers have appeared to the south and east of DioField. And strategic points in Southfield and Eastfield have already been captured. Shortly afterwards, thousands of Imperial soldiers begin to march on the capital. Consolidating their presence in Central Field, they set up camp in the rocks and Guardian grasslands. From this position of strength, their commander, Zavatian Shugel, calls for Alatane's surrender. Fredrit vehemently protests, but he lacks the soldiers and resources to face the Empire's might. And so, he reluctantly agrees to surrender at a formal signing ceremony to be held at Castle Alatane.
Right. Let us go over the plan once more. We agreed to the Empire's demand for surrender in order to lure out Zavatian and kill him. The signing ceremony is to be held on the morrow at Castle Alatane. Fred, it is vital that you attend in person.
And attend I shall. Where shall I lure the general to?
As far into the castle as possible. Signal us immediately if he begins to suspect anything. We will then destroy the castle gates, separating him from his forces outside. With their general dead, the Imperial army will be in disarray.
And in that disarray, our forces will then pounce upon them from all sides, stopping this cursed invasion dead in its tracks.
It's certainly a clever plan. But even with their leader taken out, the Imperial army will be far more powerful than ours. And turning the town into a battleground will result in countless civilian casualties.
Defeating Zavatian has to take priority.
We've come this far. Sacrifices must be made.
But that's...
Enough, Lorraine! This is not up for debate. You may go.
Understood.
I'll start making preparations.
Wait, Riaz. Going back to Leicestershire after all this time, it brought back memories.
That it did.
And it made me wonder, am I still that same person?
You haven't changed much. You're still the Frederick Lester I knew.
So you are the King of Alatane, Levantia Shatham?
Aye.
You don't intend to surrender?
Now! Blow the gates! Blue Foxes, come forth!
A valiant effort, but alas, an effort in vain. Bring the airship round.
Sir!
Kill them all, just like we planned.
Curse you! You will not escape me! Yes!
You... What is the meaning of this?
A flood of memories came rushing forth, of the day that started everything. Memories of a time before I became Andreas Ronderson. Memories of how I cowered, as my parents were killed as if they were mere animals. And of how, still coated in their blood, that man turned his gaze upon me. That man, that despicable man, Zavatian Shugel. The first ambition I ever had in my life was to crush him into insignificance, to destroy him absolutely. I was taken to the Empire and became Andreas Ronderson. All I recall from back then is relentless training and study. And one day, I was summoned by a man whose bearing was dignified but devoid of human warmth. He stuck out his hand and said to me, my mind instantly flashed back to his gaze on that day, and my resolve became unshakable. I was going to accomplish my objective while holding true to my beliefs. Shortly after that, I was appointed as the Chamberlain of the fourth-born Prince of Alatane, Levantia Shatham. Upon meeting Levantia, I discovered a new objective: to give power to those who would do right with it. But in the end, I failed to protect him. With Levantia gone, my focus returned to my first objective: eliminating Zavatian, regardless of the cost. And now, I will fulfill my second with what I'm about to do.
We did it. Rias! Rias, what's wrong? It's over, right?
Aye. It's over now. Fred.